Hello everyone, and welcome back. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're standing in the middle of a busy train station during rush hour. Look around you. It is absolute chaos. You see thousands of people. Some are tall, some are short. Some are incredibly wealthy, others are struggling. Some are rushing because they are late. Others are strolling because they are early. If I asked you to predict exactly what the next person walking through the door looks like, their height, their income, their age, you couldn't do it. It is random. It is unpredictable. It feels like noise. But what if I told you that within this chaos, there is a hidden, spooky order? What if I told you that if we stop looking at individuals and start looking at groups, a magical shape emerges? A shape so perfect and consistent that it forms the foundation of modern science, economics, and perhaps the universe itself. Today, we're going to talk about the superstar statistics, the rock star of probability. It is called the Central Limit Theorem. Now, don't let the boring name scare you. This theorem is the reason we can predict election results with just a few phone calls. It's the reason insurance companies stay in business. It is the mathematical proof that even in a world of random chaos, things tend to balance out. By the end of this session, you won't just understand the math. You will see the world differently. Let's dive in. The concept, what is it? So, what exactly is the Central Limit Theorem, or CLT? In simple textbook terms, it states that if you take sufficiently large random samples from population, the distribution of the sample means, which is the averages, will be approximately normally distributed. This holds true regardless of the shape of the original population distribution. Okay, I know. That sounds a bit dry. Let's translate that into human language. Here is the golden rule. Averages are more predictable than individuals. Imagine a jagged, weirdly shaped mountain range. That is your raw data. It's messy, but if you take chunks of that mountain, crush them down, and weigh them, those weights will form a perfect, smooth hill, the bell curve. The Central Limit Theorem tells us three very specific things happens when we take the average of sample, let's say a group of 30 or more data points. The shape becomes normal. Even if your original data is weird, skewed left, skewed right, or completely flat, the averages of that data will form a normal distribution, which is the bell curve, the center. Holds. The average of your samples will equal the true average of the whole population. The spread shrinks. The variation, which is called as standard deviation, of your averages will be much smaller than the variation of the individuals. Mathematically, we express this convergence. If a population has a mean and a standard deviation, the sampling distribution of the mean approaches a normal distribution. Don't worry about memorizing the formula right now. Just remember this. As the sample size gets bigger, the curve gets narrower and taller. The chaos cancels itself out. Prove this to you. We're going to look at 4 concrete examples, moving from simple games to complex real-world problems. Example 1, the dice roll. Let's start with the simplest example possible, a 6-sided die. If I roll a single die 10,000 times and plot the results on a graph, what does it look like? Do I get bell curve? No. I get a flat line, a rectangle. Why? Because rolling a 1 is just as likely as rolling a 6. This is called a uniform distribution. It is flat and boring. Now, let's apply the Central Limit Theorem. Instead of rolling 1 die, I want you to roll 2 dice and take the average of the 2 numbers. If you roll a 1 and a 1, the average is 1. If you roll a 6 and a 6, the average is 6. But to get an average of 3.5, you have many combinations, 3 and 4, 2 and 5, 1 and 6. If you plot the averages of 2 dice, the graph isn't flat anymore. It looks like a triangle. We're already seeing the center rise up. Now let's go big. Let's roll 30 dice at once, add them up, and find the average. Then we do that 1,000 times. It becomes incredibly difficult to get an extremely low average, like all 1s, or an extremely high average, like all 6s. Randomness fights against itself. A low roll on 1 die is usually canceled out by a high roll on another. The result? Most of your averages will cluster tightly, right around 3.5. If you draw a line over the top of your histogram, you will see it. It's arguably the most famous shape in science, the bell curve. We started with a flat, uniform rectangle, and purely by taking averages, we created a normal curve. That is the magic. Example 2, the elevator problem. Let's move out of the casino and into a building. Let's talk about elevators. Have you ever noticed the plaque in an elevator that says, max capacity, 10 persons / 1,600 pounds? Civil engineers rely on the Central Limit Theorem to keep us safe. Here is how. Human weight is a random variable. It varies wildly. You might have a child weighing 60 pounds or a linebacker weighing 300 pounds. The distribution of human weight is actually not perfectly normal. It's skewed. There are limits to how light someone can be, but the upper limit is quite high. If you design an elevator based on one person, you have a problem. If that one person happens to be the linebacker, you assume everyone is 300 pounds. If it's the child, you assume everyone is 60 pounds. It's too volatile. But elevators don't carry one person. They carry groups. Let's say 10 random people get on the elevator. This is our sample size. According to the Central Limit Theorem, the total weight and the average weight of these 10 strangers will follow a very predictable bell curve, much more predictable than the weight of a single person. The probability of 10 random strangers all being 300 pounds linebackers is statistically microscopic. It is almost zero. The heavy people balance out the light people. Because of this, engineers can calculate the standard deviation of that group, some using the formula. They know with 99.999% certainty that the total weight of 10 people will not exceed a certain limit. Without the CLT, we would have to build elevators capable of carrying 10 of the heaviest people on Earth every single time, which would cost a fortune. The CLT saves money and ensures safety by predicting the behavior of the group. Example 3, the pizza delivery business. Let's try a business example. Imagine you own a pizza delivery shop. You promise delivery in 30 minutes or it's free. Now, looking at a single delivery is scary. Maybe there's traffic. Maybe the driver gets lost. Maybe the car breaks down. Maybe the customer lives right next door. Your delivery times for single trips are all over the place. The distribution might be weird, lots of short trips, a few incredibly long nightmares. It's chaos. But at the end of the day, you look at the average delivery time for your 50 drivers. The Central Limit Theorem guarantees that your daily average delivery times will form a bell curve. On Monday, the average might be 28 minutes. On Tuesday, 31 minutes. On Wednesday, 29 minutes. Because these daily averages are normally distributed, you can use standard deviations to run your business. You can calculate exactly how often you will lose money on the 30 minutes or free guarantee. If you know the mean is 28 minutes and the standard deviation of the mean is 2 minutes, you know that 32 minutes is 2 standard deviations away. You can use a z-table, which is a tool based on the normal distribution, to see that you will only fail about 2.5% of the time. Example 4, political polling. Finally, let's look at the example that confuses people the most. Elections. In a country like the United States, there are over 150 million voters. Yet, news networks will survey just 1,000 people and tell you, candidate A is winning with 51% of the vote, with a margin of error of 3%. How is that possible? How can 1,000 people speak for 150 million? This is the Central Limit Theorem in its purest form. Imagine the true support for candidate A is the population mean. We don't know it. We can't ask 150 million people. So, we take a sample of 1,000. If we took another sample of 1,000, we'd get a slightly different result. And another. And another. The CLT tells us that if we kept taking polls, the results of those polls would form a bell curve centered exactly on the true winner's percentage. Because we know the math of the bell curve, we know how wide it is. That width is what we call the margin of error. When a pollster says margin of error of 3%, they are literally describing the standard deviation of the sampling distribution. Notice the radical symbol in the denominator? This explains why polling 1,000 people is good, but polling 10,000 is better. As n goes up, the error goes down. The curve gets tighter. The prediction gets sharper. Without the Central Limit Theorem, polling would be impossible. We would be flying blind until election day. Conclusion, the big picture. So let's wrap this up. We live in a complex, messy universe. Data in the wild is rarely perfect. It's skewed, it's chaotic, and it's random. But the Central Limit Theorem gives us a superpower. It tells us that we don't need the population to be normal to use our statistical tools. We just need enough data points. As long as we gather enough samples, the average of averages will always pave a smooth road for us. It turns the flat randomness of dice into a curve. It ensures elevators hold our weight. It helps businesses forecast profit. It allows us to understand the views of millions by talking to a few hundred. It is the bridge between probability and statistics. So the next time you see an average, whether it's a batting average, a stock market average, or the average temperature, remember the invisible force working behind the scenes, smoothing out the edges of reality. Thank you for listening.